Come on, man. Just hit the damn button.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. I'm in the studio with my main man, Steve Chad. We're here live. Right now, as you can tell, we're not in the normal studio. At least I'm not. I'm in a travel studio here. We're on the move. We're a little remote. Got the Bahama Breeze vibe kicking, okay? A little John Daly-ish, as one would say. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Steve, how are we doing, bud?
Well, baby, it's definitely 5 o'clock here, my man. It's good to see you again. It's been too long. We say this every once in a while, even though we may bump into each other in the interim. But it's been too long. You're a long ways away. You look good. You look great. I'm a little jealous. I won't lie.
I will say this is the first time I would say over the weeks that we've had this conversation that when we say, hey, it's been a while, it's actually been a while, Steve. It's I haven't seen your face. I've only seen it for a few minutes here, so it's nice. It's good to see you, bud. We've got a jam-packed show. Got a little tan kicking. The blonde flow is look at this. The sun's flowing, Steve. Buddy's dialed in. I had a pina colada sitting here earlier. That's now dry. So Buddy's feeling it. Got the stash kicking. You know, got a good thing going here. Okay. So it's going to be a good show. Go Gators. We got Johnny here. Ivor Whitehead. Go Gators. Ricky's here. Thank you guys for stopping by as always. Thank you for the like and support. We got a jam-packed show. Ooh, almost knocked the mic off there. I'm not used to the mic here floating around.
I tried to tell you about this.
I'm not used to this. We got Jaden Rashada news. We got Billy is cutting some players news. We've got a big miss on the recruiting aspect that a lot of people are upset about on the Florida Gators side. We have some recruiting news as well, hockey updates, FSU updates, and the Live Tour is still hot and juicy, so we're going to get into that a little bit. It's going to be a great show. Thank you for stopping by as always. Muddy, Tyler, welcome to the show. Like I said, we are traveling. I'm on a little family reunion. Okay, it's been a great reunion. Got a lot of sun, played some golf a little bit, been about the pool every day. A lot of Bob Marley, Steve. A lot of Bob Marley been kicking. Been feeling myself. Been feeling pretty good. Pina coladas are flowing.
We have Audra. Yeah, we have
Mama's
here.
Welcome to the
That's
show.
How you know it's real.
Daniel's here. It's going to be a great show. So first thing first, guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're going to go over Jaden Rashada. Jaden Rashada visited Florida Gators. We had David on last week. He spoke a little bit. We felt that it was a shoo-in. Okay, we talked with David, we talked with Steve. A lot was pointing to that Jaden was going to be shooing on June 18th. He was going to be the last official visit with Florida. That was 2 visits with Florida, 1 unofficial, 1 official, which felt pretty good. We felt excited about it. We talked about that a lot last week. But then a few days later, after that, I think it was either the day or 2 days later, he extended his commitment date to June 26th, which is Saturday or Sunday, I believe. And I looked on his Twitter or Instagram. He said it's going to be his grandmother's birthday that they announce it. So people are panicking a little bit. It's a little unnerving or unwrestling a little bit to see that. It seems to be that Miami has put their hat into the mix. He's going to use his last and 5th official visit with Miami. So he's down to, I think, his final 5. It's Texas A&M, Florida, Miami, LSU, and I want to say Ole Miss. So that's where we're at right now. And again, I've been in the Gator sphere, I guess you could say, over the last week, trying to read the comments, see where everybody's head's at. A lot of comments this week. We got some roasting we got to dive into, Steve. So I'll get into that. But looking at what people were saying, a lot of people were hating on Billy a little bit, saying like, hey, look, it's all talk, it's all bark. We're not going to pull it off. New Year's, same story. We're losing Jaden Rashada to Miami. So a couple things here. I kind of want to get your take, Steve, as the FSU guy, as a non-biased opinion on where do you think this is? Do you think that as Florida fans, should we be nervous? Should it be expected, right? Or is the nerves and the uneasy feeling, are we in the right space with that? What do you feel?
Well, I absolutely love the introduction of a Florida State fan that has a non-biased opinion on the matter, which tells me that we've been doing this long enough to where I'll give you an honest opinion and not just a fight for FSU. And I could care less what happens to Florida, right? So that being said, look, I mean, it's not smoke, fire. That it's not anything like that. you weren't going to swing and hit and get every single recruit. Billy's done a hell of a job in such a very, very, very short amount of time that even if you felt like kids were trending that way and trending towards Florida, it doesn't mean that they didn't have relationships with some other schools that they felt more comfortable with, and that's inevitably where they ended up. So I don't think this is anything that Florida fans need to be too terribly concerned about. This is all part of the recruiting process. We all know that these kids can transfer in 8 months after the season starts, and they're right back on the number one versus number two train of who they picked in the recruiting process. I wouldn't put too much into it at all. I think Billy's still doing a great job.
So would you be, as a Gator fan, would you be nervous that Jada is still shopping, or do you expect something like this with somebody? Again, like, he kind of made a joke like, look, I'm pushing it back. It's my 40th decision. Like, I mean, he's been very thorough in his decision. But I want to hear your thoughts on it. Should it be a panic button? Should we hit the panic button? Or, again, is it still too early? Is it still like, look, the kid's got a lot of decisions. He's got a lot on his plate here. Is it expected? Or do you think that Miami is making a pull? Or is it Texas A&M making a late pull? Or do you think Florida still has a heavy hand here? Somebody who's lost the number one recruit in the country, I feel like you might have a better say with this.
Well, when you lose the number one recruit in the country, literally in the cover of night on the eve of signing day, that's a little different than what you guys are going through. Look, the kid's only going to go through the recruiting process once. We talked to Zoe and how his secondary recruiting process was from going from Miami to Florida. There really wasn't one, so it's not like you get another opportunity to do this. So pushing the date back, I don't think is too alarming. The only thing that concerns me now, because it's usually relationship building, and that's what you rely on when you wonder, hey, is this kid going to follow through with what we believe his commitment is? It's not so much relationship building now as somebody like a Texas A&M or a Miami or something like that, where it's just the biggest dang check is going to get the kid. But look, I think he's committed to Florida. I think that's where he's going to end up. But you just hate to hear, especially this close to when you wanted a real commitment out of him and to really lock that down, that there's these other schools that just anything can happen. So as a Florida fan, I'm a little uneasy. Do I think that it's a sign of anything outside of that? No.
So I think, look, I mean, Florida fans, there's a few in the comments here saying, like, money is the issue why he's leaving. The dad and the family want some more money. Which, it's frustrating to see that. I don't like seeing that. I would like to think that it's clean, right? In that it's like, look, I want to go play somewhere I think that I'm going to excel the most. It's not just all about money. Because to me, I feel like with who's available, Texas A&M, Miami, Florida, maybe I'm a little out of the touch of thinking that Miami or Florida has the money to keep up, right? I think we could. I don't think money is an issue, but I could be wrong. I could be way off basis here. Look, Cristobal, he's done great thus far in the transfer portal. We've talked about that as well. And is it going to be a life or death situation if we don't get Jaden? Or it's not going to be good. We talked about this with David last week. There isn't much talent left available on the plate, especially with Arch Manning. Probably going to either Texas or Georgia. So now Texas A&M already has a 5-star recruit. I think Miami has a 3-star quarterback committed already, from what I could tell. So if Jaden doesn't want to go somewhere and compete, now I saw some people thinking that AR is the reason why, and he's a little intimidating to him. I don't think AR should be intimidating to him. I think, look, we've talked about AR is more likely going to be leaving next year. So for him to be intimidated by that, and that's where I think the money factor comes into play of, like, look, it's just, what else? Why else would you go anywhere else? I respect it. I'm not panicking just yet from a few people that I spoke to. I spoke with David a little bit this past week. He still feels that we're a good heavy favorite. Again, he has to visit Miami. So that's always going to be a factor, right? Miami gets the last say now, unlike we had the last say originally. So I respect it. You've got a lot on your plate, man. This is your career here. This is your decision. Where are you going to go? You've got a lot on the line here. So it's a little unsettling to see him want to rethink it, but it is a big decision. He knows he has a lot on his plate. You got 5 schools chasing him. The kid wants to take some more time. And look, I think there is some say with the money factor of, look, if I wait a little bit, maybe maybe these schools will chase me a little bit, knowing what's available, the fact that there isn't much talent left out there. So
Yep, yep. And that's true. And the other thing is the one thing we have said about AR-15 is he going to be able to stay healthy throughout the year? Look, AR-15 with a healthy year could be gone by this time, draft day. Um, but what happens if he comes up with another shoulder injury or an ankle or a knee, or he just can't play all 14 games? Well, now he becomes less desirable in the NFL. Well, now he doesn't want to leave, right? So you have to put all those things into perspective. And like AR's a huge talent. He's going to definitely end up in the league. But like if Jaden commits, Jaden says that's where I'm going. And then you always just kind of have that unattainable carrot of you can be the starter. Well, but AR-15 missed 2 games because of a thumb injury, or you can be the starter next year. But AR, he had a minor ankle sprain, so he only missed 3 games. But he's always there because he can't get the NFL to latch on. That just keeps dangling this kid along. Look, he's just doing nothing more than exploring all of his options.
I think with Miami, to me, is the biggest threat. I think with Texas A&M, they've had so much talent there. So there's going to be a lot of things coming through. And they already have a 5-star quarterback. With Miami, why I feel like they're the biggest threat is because they have a new coach, just like Florida. Both have a new coach. So anything can kind of go. You don't know quite know where each coach is going to go. So that plays a factor into, hey, where should I go? So Miami scares me a little bit, I'm going to be honest, because Miami wasn't in the conversation when it was his top 7. And now they've made themselves into the conversation with the top 5. Cristobal already stole the D line from Maryland, which us as Florida fans were upset about and felt like, hey, we dropped the ball on that. Billy missed it on that. And then again, the conversation of money came out again of like, well, they're paying him more, that's why he's leaving. So it's a little frustrating. It's unsettling to see this keep happening, for us to keep getting ripped from underneath their feet. But we'll know June 26th. I believe that's either Saturday or Sunday. Vacation time kind of just mixes up together. So the days just kind of start blending. It's been Saturday all week for me. So we will see. But moving on, I want to go into a little bit on some misses. We missed out on A.J. Harris, which we'll get into. But Billy landed a 4-star recruit, and that 4-star recruit is Isaiah Nixon, which is huge. He stole him from UCF, and I feel like he's not getting enough credit because he was roasted from not getting Jada to commit earlier, right? And we missed on A.J. Harris. He was getting roasted on, but we landed Isaiah Nixon, who was a steal, 4-star recruit from UCF, and again, we're excited, but it seems like the hype isn't there. The backing isn't there. The same as it is when it's a negative talk. I mean, it's like anything, right? The only time somebody leaves a negative review or a Yelp review is when they're pissed off. Nobody's going to leave them because they're having a great time, right? Because your expectations are always supposed to be great. So when something good happens, you're like, well, duh, right? So that's unfortunate, but it's good to see that he's able to steal some guys and able to pull that off.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, like, look, I mean, you get a commit here, a decommit here. I mean, look, FSU went through, I want to say 4 or 5 transfer portal guys that were like, wow, we just one after the other, and but then you start to look at it like production wise, like what are we getting here? What are we not getting here? Like it's just the one thing I will give these head coaches is they are the ultimate CEO. It is an amazing thing. And look, Billy is doing an amazing job. His coaching staff love it. But you've got some guys who are going to pass. You've got some guys who are going to go somewhere else and think that there's an opportunity that's better for them at that moment. The beauty of this for everybody involved in, unless you're Alabama or Georgia or USC, and you've got 5 stars from your third depth chart, it's just they're just going to leave like this. So it's just going to recreate an entire recruiting process. But to your point, look, nobody likes to miss on a guy. No, I wouldn't say that it's an indictment on Billy or anything of that nature. So it just at this point, you let the process play itself out.
Yeah, like I said, with Isaiah, I mean the report on him is he's a lean edger defense that uses elite short area quickness to redirect and make plays behind the line of scrimmage. Over 6'3", he'll need to have some functional strength, and he's under 220 pounds, so a little small. Could put some more weight on. Spent much of his junior season standing up, but also put his hands in the dirt here and there. Doesn't take long to get work as he uses impressive bursts to shoot into the backfield or get outside and run the arc. Plays a nice forward lean and always seems to be in control of his body. A bit of a violent finisher with a latch on to a ball carrier and drag him to the ground. So there could be some penalties issues there. Can win with a few speed moves, but must continue to get better at point of attack. Ability to make plays in space or outside the hashes is without a doubt one of the biggest strengths heading into his senior season as he excels in backside pursuit. So this is kind of the background from 247. Projection is a Power 5 starter. So I look for this guy to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. He's from St. Petersburg, Florida, which there is a big hockey game going on there right now, which we'll get into. But look, it's exciting to see. It's great to see us to get a 4-star recruit. We haven't had we've had a few 4-stars, but it's good to see kind of keep that ball rolling. The criticism that Billy has been getting, I saw a lot this past week because A.J. Harris went to Georgia. Jaden pushed his commitment date back. So it looks like we're missing out on the big fish, which can be frustrating at times. And then this conversation came up with how important is recruiting. And I want to get into that a little bit here. Before I do that, though, I want to go to the 4 guys that got cut. And then we're going to dive into a little bit on the importance of recruiting. We talked a little bit last week with David on how important it is. Is it that important? I have some data to kind of go over some guys and some teams that finish in the top 5 over the last few years that haven't really done anything. So the question is it more recruiting? Is it more development? Is it a little bit of both? So we'll get into that here shortly, but a huge excitement to see. So we got the shades on. Anytime we land a big recruit, Billy gets the shades out because it's exciting. It's good news. It gets the ball rolling. But before we move on to the next topic, which is big right now, it's over the last 24 hours where we cut some players. Let's go into the comments that we got to see what's going on here. Let's see what we've missed here. We got some new faces here. We got Jeffrey Daughtry in the house. Eric Wells, welcome, Eric. Thank you for stopping by. He says, if Shada is afraid of competing with AR-15, if he comes back, he needs to go to Miami. I don't think that's his concern. I agree. If your concern is I can't compete with the number 1 guy right now who's going to be gone, if not this year, the following year, and you could grow behind him and learn behind him, we don't want that mentality anyways. And I respect that. That's something as a Gator fan, I feel like I see that a lot of like, look, if you don't want to play here and you don't want to compete, we don't want you anyways. It's that same mindset that when the Gators rushed the court against Auburn, like, look, we should expect to win this. It's that same kind of mentality of like, look, that's not who we are. So I get it. I think that's more of that old mindset feel. So I understand where that's coming from a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody, we all say that though. Gosh, if FSU rushes the field when they win a big game, they haven't done it in a while. But when they do, like it to me, like watching that just is like, act like you've been here before. So you're right to the point where like you should expect to get the big players. If you miss on one of them, it doesn't kill you. But these guys should know that they're coming in for competition.
Sure. Yeah, look, I love the rush. Somebody else mentioned, I think it was Muddy. He talked about Louisville landing 2 5-star recruits. And then he says, I hate NIL money. Right? This is where I had to disagree with Muddy. We're a big fan of Muddy. We love him. He's been a fan of the show for a while. But this is why he said, I hate NIL money. This is why I like it. It allows for these smaller schools to now have their hand in the conversation, like the Jackson States. It's frustrating because as a Florida fan, right, we expect killing these guys. Like, it's again, there's where that ego comes into play, right? We're the Mullen card. We're like, look, it's UF. You should be happy to play here. Well, now it's not like that anymore with NIL money and the deals that you're signing. Like, it's more lucrative to go to a Louisville or a Jackson State. It's frustrating. I hate it as a fan, right? As a Gator fan, but as a college fan, you have to appreciate it because now it's going to spread the talent out a little bit. Hopefully, it makes Alabama not as thick as they usually are, as a Georgia as thick as they have been over the recent years. So Sure, maybe Florida isn't benefiting from right now. And look, that the only thing they can do is hold accountability on themselves and say, hey, what are we doing to not allow ourselves to look as lucrative as Louisville? And it's very easy to go, well, they're paying more, they're doing this. That's a cop out. I would like to say yes, and I would love to agree with you. But if I'm saying it here as a journalist mindset of like, how do I look at this from a non-biased opinion? I think it's what's good for the sport, and that's what should be happening.
Sure. And the one thing I will say with the NIL and these smaller schools is, look, these smaller schools, like let's just use Jackson State, for example, right?
Sure.
Jackson State, do they have a basketball team? Do they have are they having to play lacrosse? Do they have a swimming team? Do they have to pay for women's sports in order to make the Title IX requirements and things like that? I don't know if they do, right? I don't know. I feel like they can literally take all the money that they get pushed into the school and put it all right there in one sport. But we're starting to see it more and more and more. Like, where are these smaller schools coming up with all of this money? So it's good for the kids. And look, we've also talked about the fact that they don't have to stay there past 1 year anymore, so they can get all this money. The kid from Tennessee, like, is he stipend on a monthly basis? Is he like, what if he sucks or gets hurt? Does he still get his money? Like, it's just such a weird thing. But the money side of it is the money side of it now. It's a weird thing for somebody like Jackson State to be able to keep up with anybody like a Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, anybody like that. If Alabama could have bought Travis Hunter, you'd think they would have bought Travis Hunter. But
That's true. And Jeffrey Daughtry, he mentioned too with Rashada, saying that we offered him plenty of money, but his dad reminds him of the Ball father, Lamar Ball, right? LaMelo Ball, where it's just like, look, it's all about us. We're the show, and you're going to feed us, you're going to pay us. And I saw that somewhere else. I don't know enough. I haven't heard enough or seen enough to get that vibe, so I'm not going to agree or disagree on that. But I've seen a few posts about that, of him kind of fighting for more money. And look, it's the first year, so it's an untouched territory. And I think the college players definitely have the advantage here with it being their first year. And if you're that college kid like a Rashada, where you're coming in and it's an uncharted territory and you don't take advantage of it, you're going to regret it if you don't. So, I get it. It's the world we've created. And if Billy, it's just like in life, right? You go through things and you learn things, and sometimes some of us go through the hardship earlier rather than later. And I think if we're going to learn and kind of get our hand burned, I'd rather get it burned now. I'd rather learn we're getting screwed over because we're not doing this or that the first year, rather than 2 or 3 years, right, where we're kind of starting to get into it and then we get burned then, and then that far we're too late. So you got to learn, and you got to kind of get burnt at some point. If it's going to be a time, it's got to be now. And if we lose out on Rashada because of that, it is what it is. It's a learning curve. And again, we're going to get into here shortly on the recruiting aspect of how important is it to get these 4 and 5 guys? Does it weigh that much? Does it not? We talked about the positivity of landing guys last week. I want to talk about why it's not that important this week a little bit. But let's go to comments one last time before we hop into it. We got a lot of people in here tonight, over 100 people. Thank you guys for stopping by. This is incredible. You guys been showing out each and every week on Wednesday night, so we love your guys' support. If you're brand spanking new, make sure you guys show some love, drop a little thumbs up, drop a subscribe, drop the notification bell, because we go live every Wednesday at 8:35, and leave a comment. We love to see what you guys have to say, your opinion on it. We'll try to read and comment to every person that's saying something. Sometimes we miss it, but let's get into it. Ray Chapman said, just saw this. What 3 were cut? We're gonna get into that here in just a little bit. Actually, it's the next topic that is lined up for debate here. Mr. Rick James, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show. Daniel, Muddy, how are you guys doing? Stumpsky, they're talking about Frazier, the wide receiver. They're going back and forth, having their own podcast per usual. There was some talk that Burke, the wide receiver, got cut. He did not get cut. There was, for some reason, his name kind of got thrown out, and he did not get cut. But let's get into that. There is a lot of talk going on with Billy cutting 3 players just in the last 24 to 48 hours. And it seems to be the reason they're being cut is due to the fact that they weren't bought into the Billy plan. They weren't bought into the stages. It didn't seem like it was like a disciplinary, but it's just the fact that, look, you guys aren't believing into the system. You're not bought in. So you're going to have to go. As a new coach, I love this. I think you have to set a precedent. You have to set the tone. Look, this isn't factual. This isn't like there's not much data behind this. I saw this in a Reddit conversation somewhere where somebody said that one of the players, let me see his name, he was skipping class a lot, and he skipped class a lot with Mullen, but Mullen basically had an intern follow him around to make sure he wouldn't miss class. It was Finley. Mullen used to have an intern making sure that players were up and going to class. And it seems that Billy's not having that same kind of accountability. Like, look, you're a grown man, you're a player. You need to have that accountability for yourself. And look, it looks like it didn't pay off for Mullen to have that babysit mentality. And that mentality, look, we're bigger than the sport. And not our name is bigger than the name on the front of the jersey, which it's not. Right? So it's interesting to see. Let me get the other names here. Steve, what's your thoughts on that thus far, though, until I get the names pulled up?
So FSU just had I want to say a top 5 recruit that just transferred, a running back, Klon LeBourne. Same exact thing. Like, see, there's so much that goes into what's happening outside of just the game, just the practice updates. Is the kid going to school? Does the kid have the right workout ethic? Look, they could. I'm not saying that this is the reason why some of these kids are leaving, but Klon LeBourne was he was a 5-star recruit. He was an overall composite on 247 as .986. I mean, that's the 30th in the country overall, and we let him go. So something tells me that there is more to these types of scenarios. Now, this kid also left and he went to Marshall. Also seems like a strange transition. So I don't know. We don't see him every day. We're not with them every day. Are they sticking to the workout regimen that we ask them to do? Are they going to class? Are they following the diet protocol that the schools are asking them to do? And it's just there's so many things outside of what we as fans see on a day-to-day basis that, regardless of your composite rating and how good you were coming in, sometimes these guys just don't work in the NFL. They really don't. And that's one of the things that I'll take away from some of the qualities of Zoe when we hung out with him, is that guy was out there on a Saturday. He was out there on a Saturday hanging out with us, working his ass off, and he's in great shape, and he's on his diet plan, and he talks about going to class, and he talks about how he acclimated from going from Miami to Florida, and that tells me that kid is making it work. He's going to make it work. He's going to do what they ask him to do. He played special teams the year prior, and he had a tackle against FSU. But when these other guys come in and they have this big, massive ego, yeah, are they doing the things that they need to do? And I don't mind these transitions now. It's just as powerful for the coaches to have the ability to send these kids to another school as it is for these kids to be able to hold the coaches basically, by a string and say, I can leave anytime.
So something we talked about too on a few episodes ago is that we had too many on scholarship. Right. And so this could be a part of that as well. It doesn't seem to be the case of like, look, we've got to get down to that 85 scholarship. But it definitely helps. Right. Something Muddy said he brought up, which is a great point here, is with the kids getting paid now. Right. If they're not going to class, if they're not showing up on time, could a fine be in place? Because I think part of this too is like you said, the ego, right? With these kids having all this money and the mindset of like, I'm bigger than the sport. I can do what I want. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? I'll just transfer. Well, if I start fining you, right, for not playing, $20,000, $15,000, that's a lot to these kids that are getting, maybe $100,000 or $300,000. That at first it may not seem like a lot, but if it happens a few times, look, I don't hate that. I think, with a lot of power, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think part of that is, look, if you're going to get paid and you're going to be treated like a professional athlete, you should expect the same in return. Now, the other names we had, McDonald, he's a safety, 4-star composite, 8.89. He was 6'1", 195. Now, I think the safety and the cornerback class, that entire class is really strong. So To me, that's not a huge loss. Finley was a cornerback as well. 171, he was a 3-star recruit who I just mentioned who was missing school. The other one, I believe, I want to say, was Christopher Thomas, a defensive lineman, 6'6", 290, also a 3-star, committed back in 2019. So he was supposed to be class of 2021. He's a sophomore. So fairly young guys. McDaniel was a junior, and Finley was also a junior. So those are high upperclassmen who could have been the potential of, look, we're going to be the captain, we're going to be the voice of the offense/defense, wherever they're at. And Billy says, look, you're not making the cut, you're not doing what's needed. I think any Florida fan, I would say about 80%, because I see a lot of the noise, I see a lot of the comments where the mindset of a Florida fan's at. Most Florida fans are going to love this. Just simply because we're holding these kids accountable, which they probably felt that the Mullen, for a fact, the Urban era, didn't hold these guys accountable to their actions. So it's good to see that, look, I don't care where we're at. I don't care how much money you're getting paid. You still need to follow these rules, and if you're not, you're going to go. So, look, I think, Billy, this is a good time. Because sometimes guys can come in and be too aggressive too fast. I don't think this is one of those situations. I think enough time has passed. I think enough things have been put in place that these kids have had plenty of opportunities to do the right thing and act the right way, and obviously they missed out on it. So sad to see them go, right? That depth go. But if it was causing negativity and bringing the rest of the team down, then it is what it is. Are you crying, Steve? Is that a teardrop for the Gators?
That's a teardrop for the Gators. That is a teardrop. No, hey, the one thing we will say is we talked about this last week with Nico and the ridiculous NIL contract that he's getting. What happens if Nico doesn't go to school? What happens if Nico's GPA is a little bit below where the NIL money says he's going to get 100%? Maybe he only gets 80%. Or what happens if the damn check doesn't show up? And he's got Monday class and he's looking to see, there's just still a lot of back and forth, but it's good to see that at the end of the day, look, if you're not meeting the standards of what, these NIL deals are, or what the school has set for you, especially with a new coach who hasn't coached a single game yet, he's still set the standard. And if you're not meeting it, or for whatever reason, if it's not a fit, look, you're as welcome to go somewhere else as we are to let you go.
Very much. And again, we got muddy, fishing football. They're saying cut the slackers, let them go. So it seems that Florida, as Florida fans, I think 90% of them are kind of like, look, it is what it is. And look, we like to see this. I think it's good to see a little bit of blood drawn and say, look, Billy's holding his ground here. I think he's been Team Florida and team hey, I'm here for you guys. Enough to now he can kind of put his foot down. Right, I got to be the bad guy, and this is a good time to do it. So let's get into the comments before we move on to the next section here. We've got Johnny and Muddy saying 140 plus watching. Drop a like. Absolutely. Look, this is awesome. We love a lot of people viewing us right now, Steve, on vacation time. Let's get it.
Go,
I wish
baby.
I had the soundbite here to get the juices flowing, but I don't.
No. See, you have to do it. You say it. Just say it.
Scare money don't make money, baby. Let's go. It's not the same, but it'll do for now. It'll do for now. So thank you guys. Let me see. We got some love here from Mr. Rick James. This channel will blow. I love the dynamic. We all have rival buddies. These guys know what they're talking about. Appreciate it, man. We love the support. Steve sometimes knows what he talks about. It depends on what Wednesday it is. And depends on how emotional he gets about his Florida State guys. So we'll see. Ray Chapman. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. It seems like you're new. DeAndre Gosh, he said the truth is, bro. And Gator family, I love y'all, but money talk bullshit. Walk it is what it is. Fair enough. Daniel Riviera, as always, what's up? Johnny, hit the button. Hit it. Drop a like. Drop a subscribe. If your brand's spanking new, scare money don't make money. Let's get it, baby. So let's get into some other topics here, right? The other thing I wanted to go over to a little bit was the big miss. Right, with kind of recruiting aspect a little bit here. There's I've been in the Facebook feeds, the comments on our pages as well. We had some great comments, a lot of commentary. See, we got roasted a little bit on our names, our pronunciation of the names, which we agree we do need to get better at, and we will. But the talk is where with recruiting. Is it important to land these 4 and 5 stars? I've seen this kind of be 50-50 split with Florida Gator fans. And I want to get your take too as an FSU fan, Steve, on where do you stand, right? It's like, how important is it? We talked last week on landing like a Jaden Rashada and a 5-star Peter Woods, I believe, the D lineman, on how important it is to land these guys on the simple fact of marketing aspect, right? Like, hey, we landed a 5-star, or for Georgia, Atlanta Arch, right? It allows for more people to funnel in. And I feel like the old school Gator fans, which I've been seeing a lot of come out and comment, which I really appreciate, is they don't care, right? Because it's all hoopla. It's all speculation. It's all, look, I don't care if they're 4, 6, whatever, because they bring up the examples of the Kyle Trask, right? The 3-star guys, the guys that kind of came out of nowhere. I can't think of his name right now, the Cheetah in Miami. Who's the fast-star receiver? I'm drawing a blank here. Just came from Kansas City. Tyreek Hill. I believe he was a 3-star. Cooper Kupp was a 2 or 3-star, right, coming out of college. And obviously we see where they're at, super talented. So the argument is it's not about the stars, it's about the development. And you can have a 4 or 5-star guy come in, just like Dan did, right, and not be able to develop them. I believe it was Texas. They had a top 5 class in 18 and 19 and a top 10 class in 2020. We all know where Texas has been. Irrelevant. So there's 2 parts, and I totally agree. And again, a lot of people are weighing on the recruiting aspect for Billy because that's all we have right now. We haven't seen him coach, and we haven't seen the team play underneath Billy. So I get where it's coming from. But for us to say it doesn't matter, and look, I mentioned this last week. I think I used to be a big component of like, who cares? It's just recruiting, doesn't matter. But then I actually did a lot of research. I went and looked over the last 5 to 6 years to see like, well, let me see like these top 10 guys. Did they actually do anything? Right? Like, were they relevant? Did they go to the NFL? A lot of them followed suit. There was probably, I would say, maybe 2 out of top 25, maybe 2 to 5 that you never really heard about or you didn't see anymore. But I would say 70 to 80% of them did well in college and went on to the NFL or an NFL talent. So to say it doesn't matter, it's an ignorant statement to me to a certain extent. But I do agree with the fact that you have to still develop them. Right? You can have a 4 or 5 guy come in, just like Dan did. And we had, I think it was like 9 or 10, maybe even more double-digit penalties against Kentucky. That's it doesn't matter if you're a 17-star or a 1-star, right? Like, that's discipline. That's coaching. And so if that's not there, the stars don't matter. And that part I do agree with. So there's 2 parts to this. Everyone's kind of panicking on, hey, we're not getting these guys like the Rashada. A.J. Harris left, which was a huge miss, which a lot of Gator fans are really upset with right now because AJ was huge on Florida. He was heavy on Florida. And look, there's a part that we're missing out on too, is maybe Billy went and talked with him, talked with the family, wasn't feeling it. I don't know. I'm speculating here. But there's a part where we can't get, as Florida fans, and this is going to be a little bit of a hate on Florida, and a lot of Gator fans hate on one another, is we get too rowdy way too quickly. We scare coaches out way too fast. I believe in my heart truly that we scared Muschamp out way too quickly. We got way too aggressive, way too fast, and didn't allow things to develop. Things take time, okay? And we have to be patient. That is the number one thing. We have to be able to believe in the process and allow somebody to do it. Embiid is a big component of that. Trust the process, right? Sixers fans hated Embiid, and they haven't won yet, and I get that. But they have come full circle from when he was saying that. So allow things to run its course. And until we allow things to run its course, we can't really say anything. We can't hate on Billy. We can't hate on the recruiting process because we haven't allowed it to develop. That was a little bit of a soapbox, Steve, and I apologize. But if you have a thought, if you have a thought,
my gosh.
Sorry.
Look, nobody's running Billy out. Nobody's saying that his process doesn't work. Nobody's saying that his recruiting strategy doesn't work. But there was a great coach that one time said, it's less about the X's and O's as more as it is about the Jimmies and the Joes. And that was Bobby Bowden. And his mindset was, even if you don't have the best player at the position at that spot, if you've got 2 more behind him, you'll be just fine. And that was his mindset on how he built a roster. He just became the recruiting machine that he was. And in retrospect, I mean, even if you've got a good coach who comes in with a little bit less talent than the team that they're playing, that coach has to outcoach the other guy tenfold in order to overcome it, right? So you look at the Alabamas, you look at the Clemsons, you look at, for the love of goodness, Georgia and whatever the heck they've put together down there or up there. Like if you start looking, Ohio State, USC, when they were winning time and time and time again, it was the Jimmies and the Joes. It wasn't the X's and the O's. You just give the dang ball to Reggie, and he's going to figure it out, right? You're going to give the ball to pick a random Alabama running back, and he's just going to knock your block off, right? You're going to get the ball to anybody who can make plays because they are better. They are better players. Now, where it comes into play here is if you've got a bunch of really good players and you can't win it and you can't stay competitive with the teams that you're going up against, like if an Ohio State can't stay competitive with like a Michigan, or if they start losing games to, heaven forbid, like an Indiana or something of that nature, that's when it starts to become a problem. But at the end of the day, in college football, the team with the best talent typically wins. And unless you're a bad coach, you can win with the players you're putting on the field, especially with how deep some of these rosters are. Whereas the one man down, the next man up, one man down, the next man up, and that's just where you get that old school. We don't rebuild, we reload. That's where the Miamis came in from the 80s, FSU, Florida, back when Stoops was around, and every year the defense was just so freaking good. You never got a chance to breathe. I get where you're saying and where you're going with the fact that, sometimes you just need to have the coaching staff there and to be able to build the talent and build with what you got. But my gosh, man, if the team that you're going up against, it already has the talent, and then you got to out coach them to win, that's a huge ask to stay consistent.
So I mean, we're on the same page. Recruiting matters at the end of the day. I think it's not seen, right? It's not as loud because these guys take time to come onto the field, but we don't realize that when they're playing, that these guys were 4 and 5 star recruits when we talk to them, right? By the time they hit the field, we would forget they were that talent. And I think Bama has shown that recruiting matters. And we talked about, too, I kind of had a hot take of like, look, with the transfer portal, is recruiting going to have as much of an effect? It still is. It's always going to matter. It's always going to have an impact. And again, there's some comments here because I talked about Muschamp. Look, I have a little bit of a soft spot for Muschamp. I love the guy's grit.
I love the guy.
I love the guy's grit. I think, and people are saying, look, Dan, if he made a few decisions otherwise, I was a big fan of Dan Mullen. I really felt that he had the tools and the pieces to get there. Wasn't the greatest at recruiting. I've criticized his comments at halftime. I felt like he didn't have that pizzazz. But I was a huge fan. I thought the guy was going to come in and be great. And look, I feel like it was a few coaching decisions and a few placements here and there that really lost him the job. We talked about it, that he too many times overly committed to a certain player. They said a few comments on McElwain. People were a big fan of McElwain. I was never sold on McElwain. I don't know what it was. It's a personal thing. We all have our own opinion about certain coaches, but I would choose Muschamp regardless of the lack of wins that he had. It was the heart that I enjoyed. And it was the heart, the passion. People don't really assume part of the McElwain success came from Muschamp's recruiting and the passion. I mean, he's been a big component now, and what I've been seeing of the recruiting for Georgia. So the guy knows what he's doing when it comes to recruiting and talking to guys. I feel like he might have been maybe 2 to 3 years too soon in the coaching aspect, the coaching realm of things. But look, it's going to be exciting to see. I think we can't sell out on Billy just yet. I think he's done a great job thus far in his first year. Without him having any type of resume in this type of college atmosphere, look, for a Rashada, a top 10 quarterback, to commit to somebody like that, it's a little nerve-wracking. Cristobal is in the same boat, but at least he was over in Oregon, has a little bit more of a backbone. It's been a while since Billy's coached under Bama. So we can't criticize the guy when kids don't want to commit to a new coach that hasn't coached or I mean, he's obviously coached at Tech, but in a big conference, right? You can talk a lot, and you can only talk so far. And he doesn't have the action yet to back up any of his talking. This guy comes out and balls out this year. I promise you, next year will be massive. And he has the entire year to flip these kids. We keep forgetting that too, is that this is all just verbal. The signing date isn't until December. We saw it with Perkins. He committed to Texas A&M, decommitted, went to LSU. These Isaiah Nixon from UCF, these guys can flip. They can decommit at any time. So we can't just completely lose all hope because we don't get it right off the rip. The guys that commit can decommit just as easily as well too, right? So it's going to be – I just get pumped the more and more we talk about it. But it's going to be fun.
It's just so much fun. This is the most excited I've seen you in a while, Shelton. This is amazing.
It's exciting. Let's get into the comments. The guys are blowing up. We've neglected them for a little bit. George, welcome to the show, my man. Let's see. Patriots Media. Welcome, Patriots Media. Glad to see that we're reaching the Northeast here. Okay, Smallpox. How do you feel about Del Rio? That to me was a see you later, alligator. I didn't really. I mean, we have Kitna, we've got Jack Miller, so I get the move for Del Rio. Happy that he found a home in Syracuse, but I didn't really have any hard feelings. I feel like he was too far removed. I think he saw the writing on the wall, which I mean I get it with the new lines in place. It was good for him to move, so I'm fine with it as me personally. Again, this is where the recruiting aspect and the stars to me, it's all speculation. He came out. He obviously wasn't showing enough to win the spot over Jack Miller or even maybe of a Kitna. And that to me, and for you to leave and fall on a Syracuse shows that, look, maybe you didn't have the juice that you thought you did, and clearly we brought in guys that were a little better than you. So
I like Adam Lindell. Mac recruited some football players. He did recruit some ballers there. I'll give him that. He reminded me a lot of what Zook did on his way out in Florida. He put a lot of talent in the cupboard for Florida to come in and get a good push off of that 2-3 year span. Now, obviously, Corch, Urban. Obviously added some folks to that, but Zook left a lot of really good players right there for the taking.
Joe says Kelly is a grade one jerk. I'm thinking he's thinking Joe or Kelly from LSU. Totally agree. Muddy agree with me. He says if Muschamp was kept after 2014, he would have won the East in 2015 and 2016. That's kind of what I was going at. It's like, look, he was building an empire, and I think we as Florida fans have the worst patience in the world. And I can say that because I'm a Gator fan, so I'm allowed to speak on that on all Gator fans. Even though I lost my card a few weeks ago, and I'm not going to mention it again because I don't want to lose my card again. But we've got Antonio Just Blaze says 100% agree with you, Sheldon. However, you can overcome the difference in talent if you can get the elite quarterback. Big if. Totally agree with recruiting. We've talked about that. Landing those guys helped tremendously on overcoming other aspects. So I totally agree.
To the quarterback point real fast, let's just throw back to RG3. If anybody remembers RG3 at Baylor, that was a situation where one quarterback and give him a wide receiver, maybe a running back with a little bit of talent, was able to turn a school that hadn't been any type of predominant football powerhouse into just a machine of an offense. So yes, if you get the right quarterback in there, that can do a lot of things in college football.
Absolutely. Fish and Football said, all of you talk about McElwain and Muschamp. Remember that god-awful offense for 7 years? I do. I'm not discrediting any of that. I got a soft spot for Muschamp, guys. Give me a break. Look, when he was coaching at Florida, I said, just make the guy a defensive coordinator. Like, that's what he should have been brought in at. My goodness, that guy could put together a defense. Like, our defense during his stretch was the only reason why we even were in the conversation. I love the guy for defense. So yes, I'm fully aware. I feel like we're like the presidency. We're just always missing a few pieces, right? We come in just a little heavy strong on one side, right? Obama, he was a people's champ, right? Trump, the financial guy. You put them together, it's the perfect combination. But we can't seem to get them both at the same time. It's one or the other, and that's just what we're dealing with here. So,
or exactly the opposite at the same time.
Yeah. Skull Ready. He's roasting me a little bit. He said Muschamp sucked at South Carolina. I totally agree. He sucked at South Carolina. I'm not discrediting that. The guy was too soon. He came in too soon, and he never really could fight back from that. So I totally agree with that. What else we got here? Again, they're having their own conversation here.
Yeah, it's their podcast. It's not ours. We talk in between. They talk to themselves. We don't even know what we're doing here.
Per usual. Adam Liddell says, can you guys tell me why Tennessee can recruit a big-time quarterback when they suck for the past 10 years, and Florida has really had anybody except Greer? Adam, that's a good one. Will Greer was the man. I love me some Will Greer. If it wasn't for a Flintstone vitamin, what could have been?
Flintstone.
Yeah, that's a great question. $8 million? I don't know. Look, man, with this NIL money and what's going around, it's hard to see if money has that much of a factor. I really don't know. And again, this is where the speculation part comes into play. How good are these guys really? Maybe this kid really didn't have much, and Tennessee was the first to really kind of talk to him, and then people started noticing him and kind of put the 4 and 5 star behind him, and then they already had him kind of in their cahoots, and he felt comfortable enough to go with Tennessee. It's to me, the recruiting aspect of things is always kind of on the back and forth. Johnny says $7 million. It's $8 million. Is what we're hearing. Some guy commented on one of our pages, kind of roasting us, Steve, a little bit, saying we don't know anything about his contract, which we didn't claim anything to know about the contract. You looked it up. I think it was the last.
Hit a few bullet points, and that was like, we didn't dive into the dang thing. I'm not a lawyer here, dude. I'm not trying to run a sports podcast in an hour and a half of time once a week.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago you mentioned about his contract a little bit, where basically it was like each year he would get a little bit of a bonus, and we talked about if stats and things would have a play in that. It's we don't know enough about it yet, and I wish we did know more.
So real fast, just to go back to the comment about how Tennessee can get a quarterback of Nico's level. Josh Heupel actually has a good quarterback coaching background. I mean, he won a national championship at Oklahoma. He did some things with Mackenzie Milton. I mean, it's not like he's never been around quarterback coaching before. I'm not saying that he is the quarterback coaching guru, but it's not like he's never done it before either. He's good at what he does.
Sure. And I think that's the part too, is like, look, like that goes back to the fact of Billy hasn't had the resume yet, right? In a big game. DeAndre Gasha says, do you think we get Rashada? I talked a little bit to David from getting swamped because he kind of has a little more connection. He still feels optimistic about things. I think it's just, Rashada trying to play the field a little bit and see, like, he has that ability. Why not? And it's 1 week. It's not that bad to me. So
yeah, agreed. I mean, look, it's an ebb and flow. It's early. We haven't thrown a football yet this year, folks. So look, if Florida comes out and they look incredible in the first 3 or 4 games, and they've got a big win over Tennessee, they've got a huge win over Utah, whatever the case may be, like, then you start to get more momentum. Like, everything right now is all speculation, and it's all just about showing the kid what your program is and what they'll go through when they get there. Like, put it on the football field, and trust me, a lot of things will change. Whether they love what you have to say and whether they believe in what you believe, if you can't translate it in between, the hash marks, it's not going to matter. So we got a little ways to go before we're going to see just the product. But I think that'll be what starts to change a lot of the recruiting momentum, not just at Florida, Florida State, Miami, Alabama, Georgia, everywhere across the board. You got to see the product on the field.
Absolutely. And that's why, to me, next year is a more important year. We would love for this year to be big, and I think he's done a great job thus far with the cards that he's been dealt. But next year is going to be a big year. Sports, he says, LFG, it's the whole Gator gang and High Top Sports. What up? It is the big gang. Still over 100 viewers, which is absolutely incredible. If you're brand spanking new, drop a like. Love the support here. It's been spicy. Also, too, really quick, the comments seem to be a little hostile. I've got Bolton 7. Go Bolts. Bolts in 4, which is mathematically impossible at this point.
Mathematically cannot happen, but Ricky, we appreciate you chiming in for it.
Seems a little hostile. Steve, give me the score real quick. I know you've got it to your right there. What's the breakdown right now? What are we looking at?
It is. I mean, obviously Colorado leads 2-1, and
there we go.
Have a score. We have a score. We have a score. My goodness, Tampa Bay just puts one in to break the tie.
Wow!
It's going to be 2-1 right now on a live game with the Bolts and the Avalanche, and I can only imagine what has broken right this second in the Borgholm.
Where else are you getting this kind of live update? I mean, it's 2-2. Game 4 right now? The Avs are up 2-1. So, real quick, I've got my uncle here. He's a big Bolts fan. I've been wearing the Avs gear these past few days. He's not enjoying it whatsoever. We've had a family feud earlier in the week here because of it. I haven't heard him yell or scream. So, which means that tells me that, things are leaning towards the Avs' favor. Is Kemper still in? Did they take him out, or is he still blocking the net?
Kemper is in goal.
Not liking that.
That was Victor Hedman. That was his third playoff goal, his first of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Not liking that at all. Not liking it at all. So, hey, look, Avs in 6. That was my pick in the beginning. Still my pick to this day. So that we're gonna move on from that. But I just wanted to address the hostility in the comments there.
Hopefully that doesn't get us de-incentivized. That doesn't throw off the YouTube.
We might lose a few viewers.
Gestapo.
We might lose a few viewers, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do for what's best for the community. Money Green and Fish and Football, they're both saying that Rashada is going to go to the highest bidder. Look, I don't want to disagree with you guys, but I hope that's not the case. I think it's fair. And if Florida can't play into that a little bit, then we can't use that as an excuse as Florida fans. We can't just say it's the highest bidder or we lost out because of cash. Florida has plenty of it. So are we being greedy? Are we being, not greedy, but are we being cheap? That falls on us. Well, I mean, let's throw some cash. Let's throw some cheddar. Let's get some W's. Right? If we feel that's the case to winning, that's a bad excuse to me. To me, I feel like the money shouldn't be an issue when it comes to for Florida. Adam Liddell says, but even before Napier, we haven't landed a big time quarterback except Driscoll. He was kind of a bust. I mean, was he a bust, or did we not utilize him? The guy went to the NFL. He was a great backup. He's great. Is kind of sort of not a great, but he's a solid backup quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that's the hoop and the holler and the juices and the phloem, but there's been guys that have been the shiz in college who ended up as a backup quarterback. A.J. McCarron, great college quarterback, right? Competitive. Now, I wouldn't say great. I mean, he didn't have the greatest, but we knew who he was. We know who A.J. McCarron is. The guy has made his career off as a backup. So, again, it's the same thing with Dameon Pierce. We've had the talent. We just haven't done a great job of maximizing and utilizing it. Trayon Harris was a bud. It was a dud. What's his name? Emory Jones was a 4 or 5 star. Again, did we miss out on that? Did we mess up on that, or was it a flop on recruiting? Daniel says Georgia's a good example of winning a natty with a walk on and not needing a 5 star. Sure, but that team was full of 5 stars, so it's hard to make that argument. Like, yes, it sounds good when you say it out loud, but when you look at the scope and the surrounding of it, that team was stacked full of studs. It wasn't just a walk-on quarterback.
Alabama won a national championship with Jacob Coker, who was FSU's third-string quarterback and transferred and won a national championship there because he had 1,700 running backs to turn around and hand the ball off to. So it's not always just the one position. It's the 3 deep at every position. And if you really kind of want to get into the granular part of it, what hurt Alabama so badly this year is that their 3 5-star wide receivers. They were on their fourth or fifth string guy when they went into the national championship and lost their top guy. Right? They didn't have anybody to throw the dang ball to by the time the end of the first half was over. So don't get me wrong, it'll catch up with you, but heaven forbid you stay healthy for a minute in college football, and you're going to be better if you recruit.
I think we keep going back to the same thing where recruiting matters. We love to move on, but the comments have been spicy, which I absolutely love. Woo. Mario Brewster says AJ Harris is the little emoji. Look, we talked about that. Florida fans are a little spicy about that. Connor says midweek visit for Rashada is uneventful. He's going to be driving a blue Lambo next year. He's marking it. Mark your calendars. I like the hot take there. Cedric Baxter coming to UF. Not sure on that one. Treon Webb. I saw Sports CR. Were you going to really lose Treon Webb? I haven't seen that. If I'm missing the beat here, somebody let me know. But I felt to me that Treon Webb was a good one. Maybe Haynes from Georgia. Maybe we're making a heavier pull towards him, which I would really love if we could steal him from Georgia. We talked about it last week. I don't think we land both. So if we're losing on Treon, maybe it's because we're headed to a different direction. If we lose both, that would be a little unsettling and a little frustrating. But David Soderquist mentioned it last week too. The running back room is stacked right now. We keep forgetting we've got Trevor Etienne. We've got what's his name? Bowman. We've got Lingard. Well, Lingard's gonna be gone. But we've got Montrell Johnson, who's young, as well as Naquan Wright. So that room is stacked. So would it be as much? Again, we will love to see the depth, and we talk about recruiting. But these are one of the places I feel like we could afford, in a sense, if we're going to afford to lose a player is the running back room because of how stacked that it actually is at the moment.
Yeah, look, and if you nobody ever wants to lose a talent in any position, but that could be one that you don't lose as much sleep over. Is some others. Again, you're looking at trying to rebuild the offensive line, get depth there, here, there. Just try to give yourself the best potential to play. But that there's a spot on the team, usually more than one, where you feel like, hey, if we lose a kid here, we could stomach that.
Great question here from Fish and Football. He said, "Hey, will this be an FSU show when Florida State is good again?"
Yeah.
Wait. In 20 years.
Oh yeah. Look. Shelton and I will have to divorce, and there'll be a High Top Sports Florida. There'll be a High Top Sports FSU, and we'll look forward to the 170 folks coming into the FSU side and telling me how much of an idiot I am. I can't wait.
The goal is to have it be multiple streams. So eventually the goal is to grow, right? It's High Top Sports, not Florida Gator Sports, where we could have an FSU channel and coexistent with the FSU channel. And that's going to be the ultimate goal. So maybe in 20 years we'll have, the Florida channel and the Gator, take all at one house, so we can all have a one happy stop shop here. Crystal ball for Treon is the Penn State fishing football. Well, that's new. I haven't seen that. I've honestly took my eye off the ball, pun intended there, because I felt like, to me, Treon was a shoo-in. I talked about it last week, so I'll have to look into that. That would be a little frustrating. Again, I know I just mentioned that we wouldn't hurt to lose him, but we can't. That would hurt because it felt to me that Treon was at 100% shoe-in. So
those are coming in hot and heavy too. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yes, crystal. And again, Muddy saying crystal balls are kind of crap. We've lost a few. So crystal balls are kind of 50-50. I mean, I could say crystal ball prediction and have probably just as much success as the crystal ball from 247. Let's get into the next topic.
I remember one for Travis Hunter. That went well.
Yeah, but crystal balls are crystal balls. Gronk, let's get into some NFL talk here. Let's move away from Gators talk for a little bit. Gronk retires. Now, it's fun to bring up because Gronk's a great time. He's fun. But do you think he's really retiring, or do you think it's just like, look, he doesn't want to participate in the nonsense, and he's just going to play the game and then end up coming back?
What I think when you say he doesn't want to participate, I don't think he wants to participate in things like the OTAs or the required workouts or anything that's other than football. The guy is his own motivation like manufacturer. He doesn't want to have to do the things that the team tells him contractually he has to do. So every year he retires. Every year, he makes sure that he stays in shape. And then about 60 to 90 days before kickoff season, he shows up and he's just Gronk. I don't know. Retirement for Gronk isn't really a retirement. It just means he's just taking a breather.
Yeah, it could be the end for Gronk. I think it might be the end, especially with Tom coming back. I thought for sure, but maybe it's just like you said, he doesn't want to practice. I would be sad to see the end of Gronk. I feel like why not one more year? You've got Tommy coming back. Why not? Patriots media's in here. Maybe you could give us some insight, but we'll see. It's fun. It's sad to see Gronk go, but it's hard to take any of these guys out of Tampa seriously anymore. So for us to be like, oh no, like honestly, like if reporting on it seems like a joke. Like there's no weight behind it. I mean, Tom posted an Instagram post about him. He also made an Instagram post about when he retired. I felt like there should be more when these guys go, and it's just Gronk deserves a farewell tour. I feel like he has the ability to walk away on, not just like this. I don't know. I feel like he's earned it. I could be wrong. Maybe this is it. But he's a good fantasy football steal, as Ricky said. But Buddy says I can see Gronk, Edelman, and Julio joining Tampa Bay. Why not? Why not?
Oh,
well,
because
you know what I mean?
We've seen them all together before. We've done this.
Not Julio.
Not Julio.
Oh, I would love it. We'll see. So real quick before we move on to the next topic, somebody asked about Isaiah Nixon. We've already mentioned that. I think it was William Fisher. He asked about the importance. We did talk about that, how big that was. We talked about, look, it's a great point you bring it up because Florida fans, I mentioned this already, but we'll go over it because there's new people in. So welcome to the show. If your brand's making new, drop a like. But we enjoy, we as people, we enjoy the negative news, right? We'd rather go leave a bad review versus a good review. And it's kind of funny of like, look, he was even asked, like, why are we talking about the good news of Isaiah Nixon? Because I'm sure he's been seeing not enough about it. It's only about the negativity, but we've already talked about it. We're really excited about it. I think it's a huge pull for Billy. And again, I think so far what he's doing is great. So I wanted to kind of approach that. We won't do any further than that, but I just wanted to say that. Go Gators. It's Waluigi Tennis. Shake Money. What's going on? Bashad Green says Sheldon does look like a me. An MII. What is that, Steve? Do you know? Like a wee person?
It's a wee person, right? It's a me.
Fair enough. Steve, looks like a Borat. All right, guys. I didn't know this was a roast. I don't have roast Shelton here in
Yeah, keep them coming, baby. You did this to yourself. You decided one day, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go like this weird Blondie Top Gun Reno 911 blend of crazy. So at some point you had to know that you were going to open yourself up to a little bit of scrutinism here.
Steve, we all know the Stash has done great things for the channel, just for our lives in general, okay? You know the Stash is working its magic, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So if you want to insult the Stash, who has done so many great things to you, then so be it, Steve. That's your conscience. Godspeed.
You didn't have the Stash before. You had the ginger beard, and you look like a normal person.
That's my point. And look how great things have turned since the Stash. We broke 150 people watching. The likes have been through the roof. The subscribers have been going great. It's been nothing but goodness into the channel. We haven't had a dislike in I don't know how long. I mean, we've got nothing but great news. Look, Vision Football, Sheldon looks like an Indian Justin Bieber Borat. And I love that. I'm here for the people. Brandon Curry says Sheldon looks like a blonde Uncle Rico. Again, these are all great. Sheldon went on vacation and tried to turn the clock back 10 years. I might have, okay? I might have found my music. Where are you guys coming from with these things?
It's amazing. This is going to be the best cut
I'm leaving.
Ever. Oh, put your pants back on, you Nancy. Look, I'm not going to go too far into FSU recruiting. I know you people don't even like it anyway, but whatever. FSU needs help everywhere. They've got two commitments from linemen, 300 pounds, 6'4", freshman, three 335, 6'7". He's a red shirt. Saw a redshirt senior. Like, just give me some help, man. Just at this point, I'll get out there and block it if I have to. But my gosh, that is hilarious.
Glad you're having a good time, Steve. Sportsy said, "What's the high top sports schedule going to be like once we got games every Saturday?" It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy. I already told Steve he's got to lock it in. Definitely more shows. If not after the game on Saturdays, definitely a show that's going to be happening on Sunday. It's going to have to be its own show, a recap of the game, and we'll go over FSU, how they played. We can't wait for football. It's going to be busy, so it more busier than what it is now. And we're going to have maybe two, definitely two, possibly three, depending on kind of the news. I mean, news is going to be flowing out more than what it usually is, but it's going to be busier than normal. Before we go, let's get into one last topic. We'll get into the comments before we leave, though. Hold on. Okay, Daniel D says, "Shelton looking like a country boy Jake Paul." Hey, Daniel D, who hasn't made a comment all night. Glad that was what we could stop by for. Fishing football, Shelton looks like Logan Paul's forgotten brother. Those are back to back. You can't make this stuff up. Like, I don't. What are we doing here?
How do you even put that together? That's hilarious.
To be fair, these I honestly I love all these are compliments. You guys make my heart for this bashing that I'm receiving. We should be receiving likes and subscribes for the love, for me to be able to take the love here. Holly looks like a Roman diplomat. Get him a toga already. There we go, Sportsy. The roast is alive and well. Alive and well.
Is it that bad? Oh, man.
Brandon Curry says, "Love watching the live show. I usually miss you. Do you guys have a schedule?" Brandon Curry, we do. We go live every Wednesday at 8:35. You don't want to miss it because you might miss me being called a Indian Borat, Jake Paul lookalike, lost
Justin
brother.
Bieber Borat, yeah. Or I could be wearing a toga next week. You never know. Like, there's all kinds of opportunities.
Shake Money, 70s porn star. I've heard 70 to 80s porn star, so that been hearing that all week with early 80s baseball player. Bashar Glenn, that is the greatest compliment that I have received the entire time since rocking the mustache. I'm here at a family retreat. I have been called a porn star the entire weekend. And I've owned it.
Not by your wife.
I've walked around in a Speedo. Okay, I've been having the music kicking, so I've taken on the role as a porn star for the vacation. It is whatever I have to do for the people. I'm here for it. All right, it is what it is. Whatever I got to do.
What is the neighborhood down in Orlando where like this is like a way prevalent thing? Like it's what is it called?
The Villages. I would be right.
You look like a pimp for the Villages.
If I went to the Villages right now, I would be an absolute rock star. You know why I know this? Because every woman over the age of 35, all of them, there isn't one that goes, "I love the mustache. I hated the beard. I love the clean shaven mustache." I go, "I know you do, because I remind you of your long lost soul in the 80s. Yeah, I know." So if I went to the Villages, it would be we would have our own live show. Okay, let's just leave it.
I was going to say, it's High Top Villages. Coming live.
This has gone completely sideways. Shake Money says, "Hit the like button. It's definitely worth it. It is worth it. Hit the subscribe button and the bell." Lane Kiffin's little brother. Thank you, Daniel. I love me some Lane Kiffin. So that again just warms my heart. The shots that I'm getting slattered on right now, I'm loving. Look, 70s porn star, loving it. Okay, that's great news. 80s baseball player, love it. Those guys were yoked on steroids. Take that all day long. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, lost cousin stepbrother. That means my bank is thick. I'll take that as well. What else did I get?
The Village is an STD swamp.
Borat has 2 movies. 2 movies named after him. I'll take it.
Ricky, yes. We get 10,000 subs. We do this thing live from the villages at a gazebo. I'll see
I
if I
swear.
can't. I'll grow my own mustache. I'll get rid of the gray so that they don't know how old I am.
I
And
swear on this channel,
and
I'm
we
going
see
to
what
make
we
a
do.
TikTok. If we hit 10,000 subscribers, I will go. Our grandparents live in the villages. I 100% will go to the villages and we will live stream just like this. I will wear this somewhat similar outfit to the villages with the mustache, and it will be an absolute hit. I will figure it out when we hit 10,000 subs. Hopefully, if it's from a while from now and we forget, somebody needs to remind me. But I promise you, we will be there. Unique 863 looks like the chef on Ratatouille. Again, great guy. Great guy.
Look, he was just a little misguided. He had a good idea. He just needed a better publicist.
We have completely went off topic here. Ron Burgundy, another great one. The SC villages in STD swamp. So this is a story my grandpa told me. One last little story here, guys. One last little soundbite before we sign off. They have this. It's called the what's it called, babe? What's it called? Where they have the music? The square.
A dance hall.
They have where they play music every night. It's called the square, right? And they gather around. Everyone dances. They get down with their get down. And one night, an older couple had sex on the square. So we're all familiar with the drink sex on the beach. Well, the next day after they knocked uglies, they had a drink called sex on the square. And that went on for like a good week and a half. So it's good to see that the humor is still there and that they encourage these type of things, because my grandpa told me this. Now, I haven't confirmed nor denied whether he was involved with this act and the drink was named after him. He wouldn't say. But if he has this mustache, who knows? I'm just going to leave it at that.
What the hell just happened?
Well,
all right. Well, hey. So if you're hoping that your kids can watch this episode of High Top Sports, you won't be finding it. It'll be in the content filter for under 18. You will not be able to find it. I don't know, Dad. What happened to this week's episode? Well, there wasn't one, son.
Sportsy says you could have made Home Alone 4 and 5 looking like a Macaulay Culkin. Oh man! All right, last thing. Live Tour. The Live Tour has now taken a new victim. They took your boy, Steve. They took your boy, your frat douche boy of a golfer, Brooks Koepka. Now I feel like my roast on Brooks is going to, eliminate any chance we ever have him out coming on the show, because he seems like a fun dude and would do a show like this. But the guy was talking about golf the other day and said that he blacks out through 5 to 12. Like the guy, I don't know. He tries to be the cool guy constantly in the room, right? It's like always be talking against the sport. It's very frustrating to watch. But the commissioner for the PGA came out and said that it's basically irrelevant, the Live Tour. Right, it doesn't matter. They're not competing with us. I feel the same way. If you go and look this past weekend, everybody who's committed to the Live Tour, like the big names, like the Bryson DeChambeaus, the Phil Mickelsons, the Dustin Johnsons, Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler showed up to the U.S. Open hoping somebody would withdraw so the guy could play. Like 5 of them missed the cut. DeChambeau shot plus 13, and Phil and DJ were like plus 6. They were irrelevant. And that was been my biggest point, is the guys that are just going to get a bag, who just aren't really competitive anymore anyways. But it was kind of interesting to see that the commissioner finally came out and addressed it. We'll see. I think it's going to take a good 5 to 6 years for the Live to be relevant in the realm of things. It's going to take a long time. A lot of money is going to be spent and wasted. I was actually speaking with my uncle today about it in the pool over some pina coladas. But I think it's going to take some time for it to really have an impact.
Go on.
That's all I had, Steve.
Okay, that was the whole thing. The whole thing ended with pina coladas and hanging out in the pool. All right, so with your uncle. So look, Saudi runs this thing, right? It's a ton of money. I don't know what the back end financial stuff is. I don't think the Live has a very long lifespan. It's not going to live very long, I guess. But it's just generating so much money right now because of the publicity that they're getting from it. I don't know if it's in 5 or 6 years they even still exist, but with the amount of attention that it's garnered and the amount of money that it has backing it, it's just going to be fun to watch. The fact that the commissioner of the PGA all of a sudden went from never having said a bad word about a golfer, they're all competitive, they're all great people too. They can all go piss off. They can have all of a sudden he's angry about about how things are. So.
I'm trying to see exactly what he said. He said it's irrational to think that that the Live Tour is. That was his exact quote. I want to make sure I got it right. Steve, can you give us a score update before we head off the show? We've had an incredible show.
We have, my man. Look, we just went into the end of the second period. It is still 2-1. The Florida Bolts versus the Cap.
It's not 2-2. It's 2-1 by the Avs.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
it's 2-1. The Bolts.
Oh, Bolts are winning 2-1.
Bolts are winning 2-1.
Oh,
yes. Into the second period. They're going into the second period. The Bolts are up 2-1.
That's
Kemper is still in goal. He's been I don't want to say sloppy. He's getting beat up a little bit.
My take still stands. Avs in 6. Connor said PGA has answered to the live money and is changing the 2023 schedule to have more money and a 50 and 54 hole tournaments. That's my thing too. Is that look the live tour, the things they're adding are very easy for the PGA to add and just simply eliminate. Just like when the XFL came along, they added a few changes and made to the NFL, and it's like, all right, cool. Like we don't care about the XFL anymore. Those guys that went to the live tour, kudos to them. They got a quick bag for nothing and still get to play in the majors. So
yeah. I want to say one of the major things that came from the XFL when they were there for such a short time with Rod He Hate Me is they had that camera that they would have on a person that they were allowed to be on the field. And that's what brought the spider camera in. I could be wrong with the timing, so if so, trust me, I have no doubt you people will roast me. But I don't ever remember the NFL or college football having that spider camera that just hung right over the play until the XFL put a camera literally right behind the quarterback where you could hear everything that was going on in the huddle. You could hear a lot more that was going on in the field, some of the audible calls and things like that. I think that was a major change that the XFL brought.
And that's where these guys, like these new things come in. It's like the stuff that you're doing differently, the PGA and it's like anybody competing can add very quickly. You're basically a test dummy.
They're sustainable. You're the guinea pig.
Yeah. You get to go and spend a bunch of money and see what works and what doesn't work, and we'll just take the good stuff and let you burn with the rest. But look, great show, Steve, as always. We had another record-breaking night. I think we tipped to the 180. Roy Brahmer, brand new to the show. Welcome to the show, man.
Roy, what's up, buddy? Good to have you.
Just saw you there. He said if 2020 was a drink, it would be a Corona. It would be with a lime. But bet you guys stop by. If your brand's making new, make sure you guys subscribe, like. We are in a travel vicinity right now. I'm on a little family reunion vacation. It's been an absolute incredible week. As you can see, the tan's flowing, the mustache is riding, the blonde locks are just juicing. It's been a good week. I'll see you next week, Stevie. But until next time, you guys have a great rest of your week. Hopefully, we'll have some good news come at the end of the week with Rashada and some other recruiting news. We will keep you posted. Anything that's hot or spicy, we'll have it. We'll give you a fun, loving take, whether we look like a Indian boar rat or a Justin Bieber or a chef from Ratatouille. We're here. We're going to have it. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Be back here next week. Scare money, don't make money. I'm Shelton.
Every Wednesday, and I'm Holly. And I'll even do the backup music on the ride out.
Thank you, Steve. Like and subscribe, guys. Every Wednesday, 8:35. Be back next week. See ya.
Baby.